Well, I think I've decided what to do with this triangle. I wanted to block it in somehow. And I think I'm just going to use the same colors that I have here. I'm also going to remove the indication of so many small vertical boards. It represents too much tiny detail. The cabin, that shed is pushed back farther, so I don't have to indicate individual boards. I just have to make the boards, the division between the boards less important. But what I am going to do is raise the value, maybe the chroma slightly. Not going to try to match this wall. I don't want to do that, but I want to bring it close because I still haven't played my final cards on this wall. I can still make that stronger. Anyway, let's just start with some playing, and I think, I don't have a lot of horizontal lines. That are very straight structurally on the painting. So maybe what I'll do is, like right now that one thin line looks great, but I'm just ending up with more thin lines, and I'm trying to get away from that. What I'd like to do is keep my brush strokes stronger. Okay, that'll work. And let's see here. Yeah, going for raising the value again a bit. It's been closed off. We don't want too many birds flying in there. Okay, the value looks a little bit high on there. That's okay. It looks a bit prominent now, but it'll be okay once I raise the value of this red, or the importance of this red, and remove all these lines. They don't all have to go, but many should. So here's my thought. Right now I'm going to put in some shadow. I'm just going to lay in, again, ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. Okay, so we'll just throw in the shadowy bit there, alright? Without getting too fussy. All that's going to be left is this triangle. I can live with that, because actually, why live with it? Why not just change it right now? There, that's the hole. That is the hole. Yeah, ignore it. Okay, now all I have to worry about is this void, and I like that void. I like that. That works very well. I know you can't, I know I'm focused in too far for you to see its relationship to the rest of it, but I think we can work with that. Okay, come on. A little more light. Just a little more light. A little less light, just a little less light. Alright. Don't fixate on what I've just done because it's going to be a very small footnote. It's not important really. Not very important anyway, because it just looks like it because I'm focused in on it. Alright, what I'm going to do though, I'm going to do that right away. I'm taking Cad Red Medium. I'm adding a hint, actually a hint of Cobalt Blue. Oops, I gotta break into my pile of Cobalt Blue. There we go. It's got a skin on it. And adding a bit of Titanium White. And I'm just going to give this a little test shot. It's going to make it more purple, but it's also going to... I'm trying to raise the value a bit. Alright. I see what's going on there. I'm going to add a little more. You know, so here, to make the red more intense, on this wall I'm using Cad Yellow Pale, which is much more intense. Here I'm using another yellow, but it's Yellow Ochre, which is actually quite greenish and earth color and more subdued. But I'm still hoping, and a bit of white, and I'm still hoping that it'll bring it up a notch without being too strong. You know, after looking at it, it's fine. I need to bring it a little closer. It has to be a little more important. And I may have added too much blue, so let's see if I do this. Nope, going too pinky. Going too pinky. I gotta stay orange. Orange, well, red anyway. Yeah, I think I like that. Yeah, I think that's going to work. Now I have these racing stripes in here, and that's good. Variety is good, but I'm going to take this one out. And this one out. Simply to keep the painting easier to look at, in the sense that this building does not distract from this building. I hope you know what I mean. I know I'm not showing you the whole painting right now, and that probably isn't helping. I just found that I had too much detail in this distant building. And again, that's after me sitting on my chair, you know, looking up at the painting and saying, you know, that's a little too much. That's just a little bit over the top. And it's, you could think of it as being persnickety, but even on a painting this large, it does make a difference. I know, persnickety sounds like a weak word. It's okay. You do know what I mean. Okay, see, I think I went over. I think I went over one too many lines. So I'm just going to give this brush a little rinse in turpentine. And I'm going to mix a little more dark stuff here. That would be ultramarine blue and raw umber. Mostly raw umber because we don't want our darkest lines to be here just yet. Okay, let's drag the brush at a strong angle up in this direction. Okay, after all that brush cleaning and just doing one line, I'm going to go back over that line as accurately as I can. See that? I'm just trying to mess things up ever so slightly. And I don't like this. I've never liked this one. It doesn't need a lot of change, but I've just never liked it, so I'm going to do that. There. Pretty rebellious, eh? I guess the good thing is that no windows were broken. Here. Actually, I still don't like it. I have to reintroduce that dark stuff. Alright. I guess I should leave you alone. Okay, I think that's an improvement. It's brought it a little bit forward. It's solved this issue. I'm only focused on that right now. Let me just zoom out a little bit. But when you see it more in context, I think it's good that this has been brought forward just slightly. Well, even when under the eave here is not in direct sunlight, it still catches some indirect light from the ground, which reflects up. So we still need to have a little bit of, we don't want this red that I'm putting in to be too dark. So you can see that I'm leaving the spaces between the boards a little bit here and there, leaving them dark, but where the shade meets the bright red, I'm not leaving much of a line at all. I don't want to, because that will appear to be a crack in the boards as well. And of course, they are all one board, it's just where the light stops. So I don't always do that, but in this case I think it's definitely worth it to give it the, to emphasize that it is all one. It's all one board. It's monolithic. Forget the other end here. All right. It's so little work, but it does so much for the painting when you start to finish things off like that. Okay, I think that's all the red or purple I am going to put on at the moment. We'll give the brush a little wash here. Get rid of that red. And we'll put some light on these little end nibs. We'll just use raw umber and white. More of the fence color again. One brush is way too big for this, but I don't have another brush that's small and in good enough shape. So we'll just have to work with it. Alright, I'm just going to add a little more raw umber to take it down, take the value down ever so slightly, because the roof on the left hand side is of a lower value. I think that'll do. Okay, now let's see if I can fix up my little bit of messiness here with a brush that's even in worse shape. Yeah, I think that'll work. Okay. You know, these finishing touches, they can go so quickly. As long as you've already decided what you want to do. Okay. Now I'm going to mix a little bit of ultramarine blue, and well, it's mostly ultramarine blue, and a bit of burnt sienna. No, it's mostly burnt sienna with a bit of ultramarine blue to take some of that high chroma out of it. And we're going to go reasonably high value, nothing crazy, but actually I think I went too light already. Yeah, I did. Okay. I think this will do it. Alright. Now we'll go back up in value. This is sort of the strapping. That first one was under the eaves, so it was in the shade. These ones are being caught by some sunlight. I'll give a bit the appearance of a ladder in there. Okay. You know, the left hand is catching light almost right to the board. The right hand side is staying away from the staying away from the board a little bit because it's not catching light. Our light is coming again a little bit from the right, so that seems to fall in line with how it would actually be. Maybe I'm being too persnickety, but every little aid. It's so important to be consistent in throughout your painting with where your light's coming from. Now, some paintings your light can be coming from anywhere. You know, you could have it could be coming from the right hand side, and then it reflects from a thunderhead that's up to the left. So then that shines right back. So you know you can have multiple angles of light, reflected, refracted, direct and indirect light. Okay, so that's the ladder I put in there, and you know what was kind of silly? I should have kept the color there for the moment, because I'm going to need to put in a few rafters there. Oh no, what will I do? I cannot mix it again. It's so much work. Okay, so we'll mix up the same batch. Again, ultramarine blue, burnt sienna. Go a little too high a chroma now. Let me just back you up a little bit. There we go. All right. Now these would be, you know, these are the ends of strapping. No, these are the ends of supports, and then we have some strapping running this way. So because the light's coming from above, our strapping will be lit right to the bottom of the exposed piece, and the light will taper out as it gets underneath this little bit of rotten board that's there. So I'm going to try to, again, bear in mind my lighting. My lighting, the lighting, I don't know. I tend to say my and me a lot. That's not so good, but of course it is my painting, so I guess technically it's fine. All right, we don't get too fussy about that. My brush is quite dry. You know, I leave a little bit on a corner of the shoulder, so that on a corner of the square shoulder, a little more there than the rest of it, so that almost as soon as I've started my brush stroke, it's immediately drying out, and that kind of helps to lower your value as you get closer to the top of each little one here. Now I better just pay attention to what I'm doing here because those rafters are awfully close together. Or those straps. Mind you, straps usually are. Yeah, I won't worry about it. Value is a bit high. Okay, so that makes that slice a little more interesting. It's not such a knife slice now. We have it broken up. I like that. And let's see. We'll put something about here, I think. Okay, let's see. I'm not too crazy about that, actually. Hey, you know what? It's got broken strapping. Doesn't matter. The tendency is to put another one in, sort of the space the same as these, but big hole in the roof, the strapping could be broken too, so I'm not going to concern myself with it. We'll just, visually we'll throw it a curveball. How's that? Oh, I can do one thing. I can do one thing that I sure would not mind. I'll go right alongside this. Just hinting at something. All right. Okay. Oops, my head should be back here. Anyway, I have a handicap. I spent a good portion of my life in construction, so I know how things are built. Studs are this way. Your clapboard would go this way. Your roof would be made of rafters which go this way. Then you put strapping over top of it to go this way, if you needed to. And then your roofing goes this way. But this is a mishmash. It's been put together and refurbished over so many years. It's just a bit of everything, and I'm not going to worry about it. But I gotta say, it goes against the grain. I'm so tempted to paint these things the way that you would build a modern house. And that's not the case. And I really like the look of these sticking out. Now, typically, that's something you would find more on a thatched roof. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah. And this had to be broken. This just looked way too new, too much like a ladder. So I broke one of the rungs. For filling in little voids on these old sheds. I like to use ultramarine blue, almost all ultramarine blue, and a hint of burnt sienna and a bit of white. Now, I've already used just straight ultramarine blue and white where the odd hair of the brush releases a streak of white into it. You end up with very high chroma, very intense color, and suddenly it will look as though you're what was intended to be a hole just looks like a very dark feature or face, but it becomes prominent. And I want this to be recessive, of course. We don't want these lights sticking out very much. So once I have my mix, once I have what I'm after figured out, then we just go around and gingerly fill in some spots. I don't want to just leave them because they're a little bit too black. I like to make the painting a little bit richer than that. Okay, that's it for the roof, I think. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this yet. I'm not sure. I may be laying some final strokes of red on here and there, so I'm going to leave that. The doorway, I'm going to do that separately. A bit of a balancing act there, because I don't think I would like to have a whole lot of detail in here. I'm already cluttering this quite a bit. It's fairly busy. That's okay. It's a larger painting, but I'm sort of on the cusp of becoming a little bit too I'm laying too much stuff in there for my own liking. So we'll just try to not get too carried away with that. I usually hold my breath when I'm doing these areas. Okay, there's even a lot of variety in color in those little areas, maybe a little too much. Not going to worry about it. Oh. I have this one. I may be putting a stick in there. I might indicate something in there, so I'm going to leave this void. Do it along with this one. Okay, I think, let me just move this. I think that's becoming much more interesting now. I like it. Yeah, I guess I like this now too. This has worked out pretty well. The thing was looking a little bit too straight for me, and it looks a little more broken up, a little more dilapidated. Okay, I think that next we'll jump into these two areas, and I might just do that on my own. Anyway, I'm going to publish this because it's getting maybe a bit long, I'm not sure. Talk to you very soon.